So students, today we're going to start the discussion of the chapter Deep Water. This chapter, it's an autobiographical experience. So what is an autobiographical experience? The writer, he's talking about his own experience and the lesson that he had learned, and he wants to share this experience with others so they can also be motivated to overcome their fears. As we have discussed earlier, right, we just had this discussion right now that all the different kinds of fears that we have, and when a fear, it might turn into a phobia. So there are little things in our life that we are afraid of, and some of them we don't give much importance to. Yeah, we don't think about them much, but when that fear, it interferes with the normal functioning of our life, it does not allow us to function as a normal human being, then that fear needs to be addressed. We need to really look into that. We really need to try to overcome it. And here in this chapter, Deep Water, it's a beautiful lesson. Here I go again, once again, right? It tells us about overcoming the fears, that yes, we need to develop that courage. And here, as a child, the writer, how he developed a fear of water. He almost was, carried away by the waves, and then he had a very terrible experience in the swimming pool. But he needed, to overcome that fear, because he felt that because of that fear, he was not behaving like like a normal human being. So he would have fear whenever he went near water, whether it was canoeing or fishing. So he could not enjoy those activities because of the fear of water. So let us read this chapter and let us learn from this experience, right? So there are so many experiences that happen in our life that lead us to develop a fear of certain things, right? You have the fear of stepping into the elevator, claustrophobic. Yeah. So like in closed spaces, some have, like even on the heights there, you're going to a high altitude there, and the difficulty in there, okay, you feel like, oh my God, as I'm just going to fall down and I just can't even walk. So there are so many fear of fire. You fell down in a childhood experience, and yeah, you after that maybe you don't want to go near your bicycle or your two-wheeler or any other vehicle that you have, right? So these are the fears that we need to address, and these are the fears that we need to overcome. So let's see what the writer has to say. So William Douglas, he's talking about here, it's an autobiographical experience which he talks about. Okay, so he is there telling us about an incident that happened in his life and how he had to develop that courage, to overcome that fear. Yeah. It happened when I was 10 or 11 years old. I had decided to learn to swim. There was a pool at the YMCA in Yakima that offered exactly the opportunity. The Yakima River was treacherous. Mother continually warned against it and kept fresh in my mind the details of each drowning in the river. But the YMCA pool was safe. It was only 2 or 3 feet deep at the shallow end, and while it was 9 feet deep at the other, the drop was gradual. I got a pair of water wings and went to the pool. I hated to walk. This is the Yakima River. I hated to walk naked into it and show my skinny legs, but I subdued my pride and did it. Yes, so here the author, as a young child, he wanted, to learn to swim, went to the swimming pool, but yes, he was a little shy child and he was afraid of going when there was a, like a huge crowd, because he was like conscious of his appearance, of his skinny legs. The river there, Yakima, they talk about, and the mother keeps on reminding him that you should never ever try to go to that river to swim. Why? Because it's very dangerous. The current is very fast. Then there's a rocky bed, the rocks over there, which are quite dangerous. And yes, like naturally, we are always warned to stay away from water bodies. Yeah, and you never be casual and relaxed about them. So when elders do advise us, when you go somewhere for a picnic with your friends, parents tell you, like stay away from water and stay away from fire. Yes. So we have read many instances also where young children, they've gone on a picnic, they got carried away, and like of course they went near the water bodies. Here they went in the lake or the river, right? And nowadays we have a big craze of getting these selfies done. And what happened was, yeah, so just losing control, losing balance, and a big tragedy happened. If you remember a couple of years ago also, right, in Manali, how a trip, college trip was there, and yes, they were in the what, the riverbed, taking all these pictures, and all of a sudden it was that the water was released, and so many children, they got carried away. So do you remember that incident? So that is why whenever we have to, go out somewhere, you're with your friends, you've gone on a picnic, even with your family also, you have to be very careful when you are near water. Because yes, you never know where and especially when you are, it's a river, the fast flowing river, and you don't know about the current, you don't know about the water bed, and yes, so many rocks and things. So you have to be very, very cautious, right? So here, yes, the writer is gone there to the swimming pool, the Yakima swimming pool, and swimming in the pool is always safe. Why? Because of the controlled conditions. This is the deep end, this is the shallow end, right? So he's taken his water wings. What are the water wings you wear on your arms, right? So those, and you blow into them and you're able to float on the water. So there's no fear of drowning. So as a child, that is how they teach you how to swim. So if you know how to swim, you know the procedure, isn't it, right? So like you're given a float to hold on to, and yes, you learn to splash with your legs, and then you move your arms, and so step by step you become a swimmer, right? And yes, so that we all start from the shallow end, and then we proceed towards the deep end. Yes, am I correct? Yeah, so swimmers over here in the class can tell me, yes, that's what you do. From the beginning, however, I had an aversion to the water when I was in it. So he was not, very comfortable there. He had this aversion, he wanted to avoid water as far as possible. He did not like being near the water. And why so? This started when I was 3 or 4 years old, and father took me to the beach in California. He and I stood together in the surf. I hung on to him, yet the waves knocked me down and swept over me. I was buried in water. My breath was gone. I was frightened. Father laughed, but there was terror in my heart at the overpowering force of the waves. So, have you been near the river, beach, the waves, they're coming and like what, engulfing you? So here, this child or the narrator, as a child, he had a terrible experience. What was that? So how the waves, they just came over, and he was terrified that he'll be carried away. And because of this little incident when he was 3 years old, he had this aversion, he had that fear of water. So he just tried to avoid it as far as possible. But as he's growing up, he feels that, yes, I have to learn to swim and I need to overcome my fear, which is, yes, a very good thought, a very good idea, right? So here, what happened here? He went to the beach in California. He and I stood together in the surf, as the waves they coming, what is that surf? That whitish thing that comes on the waves. And I hung on to him, yet the waves knocked me down. So he was holding to his father, but still the waves threw him down and they swept over me. And it felt as if he was going to be carried away by the waves. He was buried in water. My breath was gone. I was frightened. Father laughed, but there was terror in my heart at the overpowering force of the waves. So that fear to see these waves, they can be so strong, terrifying. My introduction to the YMCA swimming pool revived unpleasant memories. As he went to the swimming pool, those memories, they came back. Stirred childish fear. What fear? That see, I almost drowned. I was carried away by that wave. But in a little while, I gathered confidence. I paddled with my new water wings, watching the other boys and trying to learn by aping them. I did this 2 or 3 times on different days and was just beginning to feel at ease in the water when the misadventure happened. So he's gone to the YMCA, he's gone to the pool, but as he went over there, those unpleasant memories, they came to his mind, right? So those fears, once again, they came to his mind. What was that fear? The experience that he had as a child on the beach, California beach, right? So he's there like, yeah, he's gone to the pool. He has the water wings. So as I told you, water wings, yeah. So he's wearing them on his arms and maybe the floats also, you put it on your waist also. And so he's all prepared, right? So there's no danger of him drowning, but he is still scared. And he's looking at the other boys and he's trying to learn how to swim by copying them. Aping means by copying them. So he sees the other boys and he tries to copy what they are doing. I did this 2 or 3 times on different days and was just beginning to feel at ease in the water when the misadventure happened. What is paddling? I paddled with my new water wings. Yes, what is paddling? So he said, in which end of the pool was he? Was it the shallow end or was he at the deep end? Where was he? He was at the shallow end. Naturally, he's not a trained swimmer right now, so he's at the shallow end. And yes, right, Smriti, and he's at there. He's just paddling in the water. What is paddling? What is paddling? We've discussed this word earlier also, if you remember in the poem, photograph. So just splashing around, walking in that shallow water. So he's there, like not exactly swimming, but he's just splashing around in the water. Okay. Yes. So let's just have a look. I went to the pool when no one else was there. The place was quiet. The water was still and the tiled bottom was as white and clean as a bathtub. I was timid about going in alone, so I sat on the side of the pool to wait for others. So he's reached there, he's gone to the swimming pool. No one was there. The place was quiet. The water was still because there was no one in the swimming pool. And the tiled bottom was as white and clean as the bathtub. So the water is so still and so clear, he could see the bottom of the pool. The tiles were very clearly visible. I was timid about going in alone. Why is he timid? Because he's not a swimmer, he's not trained, he's not an expert. And so he's waiting for the other boys to come. And then, yes, when they are also in the pool, they're in the water, then he will also join them. So I sat at the side of the pool to wait for others. I had not been there long when in came a big bruiser of probably 18 years old. So it's a big, like a healthy, well-built boy. He had thick hair on his chest. He was a beautiful physical specimen with legs and arms that showed rippling muscles. So he's been there, right? So working out and swimming regularly. So he has a well-built body, right? So he's an experienced swimmer. He knows how to swim. So he was a beautiful physical specimen with legs and arms that showed rippling muscles. So much stronger than this young boy. So he's 18 years old. And how old was the narrator? He was, what, 11 years old, he's telling us. And arms that showed rippling muscles. He yelled, "Hi, skinny, how would you like to be ducked?" So what did that boy say? How did he behave with this young boy? How do you like to be ducked? Ducked means thrown in the water. Yeah, to go underwater. And right, so what does it tell us about this boy? Was he very concerned about other people or about the young boys? No. So he's quite confident about himself. He's a good swimmer. He's quite healthy. And yes, he's a big boy. So he can easily bully the other boys. right? So he was there a bully. He's trying to exert, control over the others. He's trying to create fear in the minds of the other young boys.